We're both wearing black today. It's Wednesday, December 6th. It's the funeral of our mental health, probably. I was going to say the funeral of our programs, but we can't pronounce your program dead. Your program could come back. We can pronounce my program dead. It is what it is. Carter Elliott's here. This is the Sleepers Podcast. This is out later than normal because we need a little space. We were up till 1 a.m. Things got contentious on a couple of our recaps last night. It is what it is. That's what's going to happen this season when our teams lose. Still got the work done. Still got the recaps out. Hopefully you're enjoying those. Go watch those on the channel and forgive us for anything horrible that we said to either each other or about your teams and players. But we're back today for another episode of this podcast. Monday through Friday, you'll get a new episode of the Sleepers Podcast. Carter, you feeling any better after a night's sleep?
I feel better from a personal level. Do I feel better about my basketball team and the state of the program? Absolutely not.
That's how I feel too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'd like to apologize to you. I was contentious to you last night. That's on me. We'll address that in the topic later.
It's honestly it is what it is. I mean, when I gotta watch a certain center start for my program year after year and a point guard that has, glizzy NIL deals tank my program, it's gonna eventually take a toll on a man eventually. And when you have to watch your point guard miss free throws to win games against games you should win, it's going to hurt you too. So it is what it is. We're not going to apologize for caring. I think that's what kind of makes Sleepers good, is that we actually do care.
I would like to apologize to your snickerdoodle cookies, though. They caught a stray that was very undeserved for me last night.
I honestly, I'll have to watch it back last night. It really seems like a blur that all the recaps and episodes. I was just in a haze.
Yeah, there was no other way to do it, but I don't know. When things got really heated in the Tyson Walker element, it's because in the background, I'm watching Doug McDaniel choke my game away. And I'm pissed off that we're recording a Michigan State recap while I'm in hell trying to get through the trenches. And I took that out on you. I took that out on Tyson. Anyways, we're going to have a rational conversation about what we tried to talk about last night. And for those that do follow the channel, hopefully people are still pulling some enjoyment out of this. I would like you to just maybe realize, maybe this can be a collective community moment. We do think our analysis is very good. We do think that. But when we have to record 10 minutes after one of our teams loses, it will be emotional sometimes. There is a mix of emotion and rational analysis from us. I like to think we can do both at the same time. If that's not your cup of tea, there's certainly other places you can go get more analytical approaches from people a little more level-headed than us. But I think part of the beauty of our channel is we're going to show the emotion as it happens in real time. And then the nice thing is on a night like last night, we can come back to some of the same topics the next day and maybe talk about them with a clearer head. So that's what we're going to do today. We have a Tyson Walker / whole Michigan State team topic. I want to talk about Purdue and Illinois and do they belong in the same conversation? And then Rutgers is about to get Dylan Harper. So there's your 3 topics for today. But first, Cart, why don't you kick us off with a YouTube comment of the day?
A lot of YouTube comments. I'll take this one from Carl W. and said, could you break out the I Don't Want to Do This Anymore song into a separate video? We Illinois fans want to put that on loop to celebrate our parties in CU and that Michigan and Michigan State are rock bottom in the Big Ten right now. Maybe you could do that video just for us. How it ain't worth to go to CU. You see a good team and the number 1 team in the Big Ten Illini when your Wolverines and Spartans are number 13 and number 14 in the Big Ten by ESPN's default sorting order.
We could clip that if you want.
Did you listen back to our song portion?
I did, yeah. Bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Yeah, bad. We could definitely put out a Sleepers album though, and it would just be us singing sad songs. I like that as a trope. When both our teams lose the same night, we have to sing a sad song.
Okay, we can do that. Honestly, next year, can we plan on releasing a Christmas album?
Like the Jason Kelsey thing?
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
I feel like if people heard me hit the little, that little Christmas note there, people would be a little surprised if I put the effort into that, what I'm capable of.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I can do I can't really sing, but I'll be passionate.
I feel like you'd be really good at snapping.
I'm pretty good at snapping. You know, I met someone the other day who snaps with their thumb and their pinky.
That's crazy.
Yeah, wild, right?
Yeah, that's unorthodox. I respect it almost. All right. Glad Illinois fans are getting something out of our misery, though. That makes it all worth it. Hey, let's move to the Discord where, as expected, there was a lot of activity in the Discord last night. We were up to like 2:30 in the morning with some passionate discussion in the game threads in the Discord. Couple new people joined again in the Discord as well. That's great to see. What are we, that like 13 people away from 100 at this point?
Honestly, I think we were closer than that. It might be like 11.
I think we're very close to hitting 100 people in the paid Discord. And when we get to 100, we're doing a Power Hour episode, which honestly is much needed. We need that to happen before Christmas. So please get in the Discord if you're considering it. And shout out to Ryan the Lion, who did DM me and told me he was doing some recruiting for us. He sent some DMs to people that were unpaid and literally convinced someone who was like, yeah, I don't want to pay $10 for this. And Ryan was like, I didn't either. I'm a broke college student, but it's worth it. So Ryan Lyon, thank you. And we appreciate it, my friend. We know it's not easy to spend money on anything when you're a college kid. And the fact that you're putting that with us means a lot. Anyways, comments from the Discord. We have a ton of them. I'll try to sift through these. Jesse, the Lost Baby Boiler, one of our new members, says, are you guys hell bent that the number 4 spot is actually the issue for Purdue, even though Edey by sheer gravity sucks up those points, rebounds, fouls? Or is it the day-to-day inconsistency from the 1 through 3 spots with their inability to collectively efficiently get their points without turning the ball over or shooting subpar percentages?
So this is a very nuanced question that I think could have, like, honestly, its whole episode / segment. But I'll break it down into one part and comment just on one portion of it. I think the focus on the 4 position for Purdue would be the things it would do to open up things for Edey. Even if the person guarding the 4 had a second thought that 4 could be dangerous either from outside or doing things, like I always bring it back to this. The fact that UConn has Alex Caravan as their 4-man is the most ideal thing in the world for a player like Donovan Clingan, for a player like Ryan Kalkbrenner. Having Isaac Trout at the 4 or Mason Miller at the 4 is incremental to their success. Edey's going to do what he does because he's that dominant of a player, but I do think it would make things easier on him if he could have some of that production come from the 4, and the people guarding the 4 position had to have a second thought when guarding that position.
Yeah, and I think that applies to the guards too. Like we don't expect production from the 4 spot. We want someone in the 4 spot that makes it easier for the key spots to produce. And when Trey Kaufman-Renn is on the floor, or even honestly, no offense, but I think when Caleb Furst is on the floor with Zach Edey, I think it's a disaster compared to when Mason Gillis is on the floor. And I think that makes it easier on Braden Smith. It makes it easier on Fletcher Lawyer, Lance Jones, everybody on the Purdue team. And I'd like to see it much more in a full-time capacity than a part-time capacity. Travis Nelson says MSU Hoops is the Iowa football of Big Ten basketball, the Big Ten West champs.
They win, so we can't relate.
You'll be fine. The season will get where it needs to go. It'll be fine. Tristan Freeman says, who's more likely to make the NCAA tournament now? Butler, Villanova, or Xavier?
Ooh. I'd still say, I don't know. Cause you look at, like, immediately Nova came to my mind, but like you look at that resume, they have losses to Penn and losses to St. Joe's at home. I don't know. I probably, is it bad to say? Actually, no. I know where I'm going. I'll stick with Xavier. I'm not gonna get there with Butler.
I think it's Villanova. I think the answer is Villanova.
You think it's still Nova, even with the bad losses, just because of the team?
Xavier has bad losses too. Butler hasn't beaten anybody. Villanova won the battle for Atlantis 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, true.
It's a good basketball team. They just need to get back to it. Coy just wants us to acknowledge, he says, Terrence Shannon Jr., best 2-way player in the country. He was really good last night.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. Guy says, how good is Illinois if we give them Jamarcus Lawrence?
Probably the same, to be honest with you. They have Jamarcus Lawrence at home. His name's Justin Harmon.
No comment there. Jesse, the Lost Baby Boiler, says there's been many years Michigan State starts the year with a few early losses because they play a tough preseason schedule. They always write the shit before the tourney. This year seems to feel different. Is Coach Izzo losing his connection with his guys?
See, I don't think he's losing his connection with his guys. Like, I don't think that he's disconnected from these guys. I just think these guys aren't it. So, like, if that falls in the disconnection portion, then maybe to me that doesn't fall in the disconnection portion. I just think that you look at back at that class of 22 recruiting class, it was a disaster and a failure.
Yeah, and then it's not just that recruiting class, but it's the following like portal classes that don't exist. Like there have been multiple ways he could upgrade this roster. And the only real tangible way he has done so since adding Tyson Walker, which was a huge add, right? He had Joey Hauser and Tyson Walker added from the portal. Since that moment, the only real tangible way he's upgraded the roster was with this year's recruiting class, and he's not playing those guys. So I don't know what you do with that. It's a tough spot, but yeah, I don't see it as like a lack of connection. I see it as a lack of talent, which I said last night. Dan to F and Man says, I know Michigan State has a lot of issues, but I want to ask about leadership specifically. It's clear AJ Hoggard isn't going to consistently lead at this point. Do you think Tyson Walker or Jaden Akins have leadership capabilities and are just taking a backseat to AJ? If so, do you think that could be a main reason why Jaden looks more hesitant than aggressive this season? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, I just don't think those guys are necessarily like leadership type guys. And I'll say it like this. Unfortunately, as Michigan State fans, we are somewhat like hogtied or chained to the idea that we have to have like this fearless leader who is just like a leader of man and leader of teams. And, we're spoiled with some really great leaders that have played at Michigan State in the past. I don't think there's anyone on this team that has that type of DNA or makeup. I think that Tyson is a leader in some sense. I think that Tyson leads by example. I think that Tyson is in moments of need. I think we lean on him and he responds for the most part. But outside of that, I just don't think that Jaden is either vocal and or a leader in any way. And I don't think AJ is either. And a big part of leadership to me is that when you look to a guy, you see that guy like got better. Like the leaders that I played with, you never had to worry about those guys getting better. Shout out to Z Hurth, one of the best leaders I played with, actually. He led by example because like he worked his ass off every single summer and he was in the gym and he did all this stuff while also being the king of EL at the same time. But the work always came first. And everyone on the team saw that and respected that shit. I don't think there's players on this team that are looking to like AJ and honestly respect him as a player and a leader. Because why would you?
Yeah, I think it's really complicated. It's hard to say without being in the room on a lot of this. My read, at least as far as the backcourt guys are concerned, I think AJ Hoggard is a fake leader. Like when things go well, he's a leader. When things go poorly, he's not a leader. He's more of a me guy than anything else, and that's tough. Tyson Walker is a leader to me. I view him as a guy like Hart said. He leads by example, but it's hard to lead when you are next to AJ Hoggard, who usually has the ball in his hands. And now honestly, just AJ's regression has thrown everything off course so much because like nobody knows what they're supposed to do role wise anymore. And Tyson's trying to take more of it on, and it's disastrous for the team. And Jaden, I haven't seen anything from Jaden to think he has leadership qualities, but also to be fair, he's never been asked to lead on a team that has AJ Hoggard, who's a year older than him, and Tyson Walker, who's 2 years older than him. So like so much of Jaden is still, what would he be in a different situation? We have no idea. We know that Jaden has hit a wall in his current situation, and that's sad. I think it's Jaden's fault. Like I think a lot of that's on him, but I don't want to say he's incapable without seeing him given an opportunity to do it. So tough situation. Still feel like there's too many cooks in the kitchen. And as far as this year's team goes, like I do think Tyson has the capabilities of like put the team on his back and drag them where they need to go. But I think he's already doing that. And it's just tough. It's very, very tough on him. Matt F left a really long, well thought out comment here. He literally followed it up with a comment that says, you don't need to read all of this. I just need to get it out there. But I want to pull one sentence out of this and see what you think. He says, we have an 8-game sample size with Michigan State. Clearly something needs to change. This isn't working. Here's my attempt to do what I would do if I was the coach. Bench Whop, start Fears. Would you do that at this point?
Yes.
I just don't think you can do that. Like,
can you do it to send a message?
Yeah, but I feel like he already pulled that card with AJ, and then we saw like it's gonna always come back to AJ one game later, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
And honestly, AJ was productive last night. I know the plus minus was horrendous and he was bad defensively, but like AJ was the second best player on this team last night, despite being bad.
Because of a 3-minute stretch, honestly, though.
Yeah, but that's like where was the 3-minute stretch from Jaden or from anybody?
Yeah,
right?
true.
Like it's
true.
just it's hard. It's hard right now. It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And also, like, I feel like going full in on Fears would be saying, like, okay, we're playing for the future, which Izzo will not do with this roster. And shouldn't do with this roster, quite frankly. Scrolling down, we have a lot of people that responded to Matt's comment there. Malik Perry says, at Sleepers Media, I should say at Fake Daredevil. I think that's a shot at you. He says, are we a bad team? If yes, then don't watch any more games. We aren't a team that can blow good teams out. We can win against good teams if we play good. Yes, we can play good.
I want people to listen and listen extremely well and turn up your headphones, turn up your car volume, turn up your laptop volume, whatever you're listening to on this right now, and understand this. I am going to watch Michigan State athletics. I am going to watch Michigan State basketball. That is my team. For better or for worse, I'm going to fire that shit up every single night that they are on. And I'm going to change my plans to watch that team. That is what it is. That's where I'm at in my life. That's how it's probably always going to be until the day that I leave this earth, unfortunately. But at the same time, you can still be critical about this team. You can still be mad about this team. You can still call this team a bad team. I'm calling them a bad basketball team right now. But damn it, come Sunday at 2 p.m. or whenever we fire that game up against Nebraska, you're going to catch my big ass on my couch in front of my TV watching the game, because that is what it is. And if they play well, I'll be the first one to come on here and say that they did play well. But until then, I'm going to call a spade a spade. This is a bad basketball team.
Yeah. Props to you for that. I think that's the right approach. I think that's what we should do. And it's not being a bad fan, being honest about your team. Ryan the Lion says, my conspiracy theory, Madi Sissoko is the reincarnation of Helen Keller. I could read the rest of this comment, but I'm not going to. Do you want to quickly comment on that?
No comment.
Okay. Stevie Tom 18, another one of our new members. Thank you for joining, Stevie Tom. Says, maybe time will tell, and I'll be totally wrong, but Miles Colvin needs to be treated the same as Will Berg this year, taking a pseudo red shirt. The athletics are nice, but outside of being a decent spot-up shooter, he's useless. He went further into detail on this. I disagree with this for what it's worth. What do you say?
I apologize. My dog is like going absolutely dumb in the background. Can you say the first part of that again?
He basically said Miles Colvin needs to be taking a pseudo red shirt, treated like Will Berg. Outside of being a spot up shooter, he's useless.
No, absolutely not. I think like we said on a couple episodes ago, I think you need to find out who's going to be that 15-minute guy between him and Heidi, and they need to be in that role moving forward.
And I think like I'm okay with saying he's really far away from being where he needs to be right now, but one of my biggest gripes with coaches right now is like, I feel like nobody's acknowledging that if they're not where they need to be in December, they need to get where they need to be by March. And you don't get there without playing and getting experience and learning the game speed and getting better. Like, to me, Miles Colvin has to have a role on this team on the court for Purdue to be their maximum ceiling this season, even if it's a small one, even if it's 10 minutes. And instead, Purdue fans are like, no, he doesn't look good in December. Let's write him off. And that's I feel exactly the same about Michigan State's freshmen with Cohen Carr and Xavier Booker. Like the team relies on those guys being assets to the team in March. And if they're not there now, they need to get there. And they're not going to get there by being written off and saying, don't play them. So at some point, like fingers are pointed back at Matt Painter and Tom Izzo. Like, get it figured out. That's how I feel. Pheno's Burner says, at me, don't sleep on the Hoosiers. I'm not sleeping on the Hoosiers anymore. I hope that was taken away from the recap last night. A lot of our comments in the Indiana-Michigan recap last night were like, these guys are never willing to give Indiana credit. And I feel like I gave Indiana decent credit last night.
You did. 100%.
So I don't know. Maybe they didn't listen to all of it, but like I'm in. I think this team knows who they are, and that's a top 7 team in the Big Ten right now.
We should have let you go first in the Indiana video. I think we let myself go first and say my Indiana point, and they didn't get to the point where you said Indiana fans don't turn this off yet. I don't feel the same.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, live and you learn. Tristan says, was thinking about something. Duquesne has the forward who has been awful to start the season, but Dambrock kept starting him and playing him minutes. He sucked the first 10 minutes versus Irvine, but last week he kept playing. Ultimately, he played well. I asked him post-game, how come you haven't cut his minutes? He said that if he did, the player would know the coach didn't believe in him, and it would ruin his confidence completely. All to say, for Izzo to not play Booker at all, he's basically announced he's given up on him. With a guy who already had motivation issues to begin with, I don't know how he'll bounce back. Will we see anything meaningful from Booker this year? Do you think that's what happened?
Yeah, unfortunately. And even if that's not what happened, if I'm Xavier Booker, that's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think, because it's I go back to this point. Yes, say what you want about the motor issues, the whatever's happening in practice. That is what it is, in my opinion. It's hard for him to go out every single game and watch the front court does what it do, and him being like, damn, I can't get out there for 5 minutes to at least see if I can do better than this. That's crazy to me. And I would take it as my coach is giving up on me, or my coach isn't giving me a chance. And I would not blame him. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the right take.
Yeah. And you, God damn, man. Just I'm going to rip that scab off from last night and just pour a little more peroxide into it. You can't coach every player the same. You can't. It's that's the most lie that's ever been told in all of any sport, especially basketball, and coaches say, I coach every player the exact same way. No, you don't. You don't. Every player is different. Every player has different personalities. That's part of being a really good coach, is that they can handle a lot of personalities. And honestly, you don't got to coddle them, but at a certain point, maybe you do. Xavier Booker is a freshman 5-star that came into this school and has not taken his warm-up off whatsoever and looks dejected, playing behind a front court that's not good. Like, what is he supposed to think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, which, again, it's a very complicated conversation, because truly, in the limited opportunities Xavier Booker has been given, he's been very underwhelming, and there's been clear effort and motor issues. So it's hard. Tom Izzo's never going to reward a guy that has effort and motor issues. And I think some of this falls on the staff to fix those issues. A lot of this falls on Booker to fix those issues, but it's clearly not a fit. It's clearly not working. And I don't know if that has to do with confidence, or what, if Booker's just pissed, if he's upset with the staff, I don't know. Craig Bauer says, does Booker make it through the season before he hits the portal? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I do too.
I do. Dat Boy from Illinois says, is point guard the most overrated position in basketball?
Is point guard the most overrated?
I mean, this is coming because Illinois looks really good without a point guard, and we spent all offseason saying how bad they need a point guard. I'll just say this. No, it's not. I think if this Illinois team had a good player that was a true point guard, then you're like a top 5 team in the country right now. You don't have that, so you're looking like a top 10 to 15 team in the country. It's still really good. You should still be wishing you had a point guard shaped player that can bring the ball up court comfortably.
They have one.
Yes, they did. But hey, the locker room's really good and they're winning games. So it is what it is. But like, you can always have other things that your team doesn't have and still be good. Ryan the Lion has a wholesome question here. Outside of sleepers in basketball, how are you guys doing? Just a life check-in. Any fun plans for the holidays? Love you both. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, Ryan. How are you doing, Cart?
Pretty shitty, to be honest with you. Is what it is.
Just your team? Anything else?
I mean, yeah. I mean, of course, my family, my wife, my dog, and my friends keep me going, wake me up in the morning. But outside of that, everything's not going as well.
Okay. Outside of sleepers and basketball, how am I doing? I'm doing all right. I love being a dad, love my daughter, love my wife. Family life is great. I'm really tired. I'm running on fumes. I'm not sleeping great. My eyes aren't working. Went to the eye doctor. They told me I have great vision, but I definitely don't feel like I do. So that's weird. Yeah, I don't know. Just kind of, I think most new parents just don't always feel great, even though you feel great. And that's a weird conflicting feeling to figure out.
Where are you at on the Michigan point guard health scale?
Um, Probably like Spike Albrecht.
Spike Albrecht, okay.
Yeah, I was like if the worst is like Jalen Llewellyn, Jerron Simmons, and the best is Trey Burke, I'm like a Spike. Like I'm not to Derek Walton or Doug yet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Malik Perry, last comment of the day, says, I told you guys if this team is going to be good, the upperclassman needs to be good. No Booker has to pop or a freshman. Yeah, I'm not delusional. I see this team better than you, Carter. And hopefully at the end of the season, we can both smile.
Man, I wish I appreciate Malik's mindset, and I wish that I could have it.
I love Malik too. Yeah, thanks for the comments. Great job today, Discord. You carried the show in a big way. Let's get to our 3 topics, Cart. We're on a little bit of a time crunch.
Sorry.
I want to start with where I think we should start after where last night ended for us. So I want to have a rational conversation about Michigan State basketball and Tyson Walker and the roster in general. The discussion of player development and did players get better at Michigan State? Last night, at the beginning of our recap, I asked you point blank, did anyone get better on this team? My intention was that you would answer that with an obvious, like, no, nobody did. And instead, you answered with a Tyson Walker did. I got very confrontational with you. That's on me. Hand up. I apologize. I should not have. I have no excuse for it other than I was watching my team melt down in the process of trying to record. And honestly, I just had a one-track mind of like, I knew where I wanted to go with the conversation and didn't feel like pretending that Tyson Walker's not part of the conversation. Because I think the drop in three-point shooting is a massive element of why this team is struggling, even if he's better in other areas. Let me start by saying this. Tyson Walker, at worst, is the same player he was last year. Like, I don't think he's a worse shooter, even though the shots aren't going in. He's definitely better at finishing through contact. His 2-point percentage is up. He's taking more shots. He's more efficient. Like, he is doing all he could possibly do, all Michigan State fans could possibly ask of him to try and will this team to victories, minus some open shots going in. That's not a worse basketball player. So that's me being overreactive and confrontational. I apologize for that. With that said, I also would not say he's gotten better. I think he's the same guy as last year. So I wanted to revisit this and have a rational discussion about it, starting with Tyson Walker, now that we've both had one night's sleep in us, and then expand it broader to the rest of the guys as well. Do you think that's the fair conclusion we can agree on with Tyson?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, to come to the conclusion that I think Tyson is, given the situation, the same basketball player that he was last year. But also I think when you say that, then you say he's the same basketball player as last year, but he regressed so far in 3-point shooting and free throw line, which I feel like we're overlooking a lot. Like, currently he's shooting like 60-something% from the free throw line.
He's missed 11 free throws this year. He missed 13 all of last season.
Yeah, which is just crazy to me, which also takes me to a point where I think something is just a little bit like either fatigue or mentally. I mean, we've always had the conversation on this podcast about good free throw shooters and how sometimes you just got to be like, dude, just go up there and hit them. You're a good free throw shooter. And he's not doing that. I think where the pushback comes from me, and say what you want about this, maybe it's the fandom in me, because I watched Tyson go out there and basically try to carry this team. I maybe give him somewhat of a leeway in the fact that he's not hitting as many 3-point shots or not as good from the free throw line. But when you look at it just straight on, honestly, I can't completely push back that Tyson is a at worst a worse player. I would just like want to come to a medium that I think that Tyson Walker is probably the same player that he was last year.
Yeah, I think that's a happy medium. And I think if in the moment you and I had both like quickly said the same, I think we wouldn't have gotten in the 10-minute argument we got in last night where I was a total dick to you. But like, I understand why you're going to bat for your guy. I think like in the moment, it's okay to try and say like, he's gotten better. He's scoring 20 a game. Like he's doing everything he possibly can. I just truly believe like after 2 weeks of his misses, it was like, he's going to start making shots. Now it's a month into the season. He's not making shots. And like, we talked about it at first, like the shot attempts are tougher. They're not going in. Last night, they weren't necessarily tougher. Like he had open looks he wasn't hitting. And then he went crazy in the second half and Michigan State suddenly looked good. So like, it speaks to how much pressure's on him, but I just like, he's got to make shots.
Yeah. Do you think that something's like up?
Well, I think with Jaden, the Y word, I think applies. Like Jaden looks clearly like he has the yips.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking like Tyson, like, is he like not feeling good or you think he's just missing? Like, what we got to stop like trying to overanalyze it. He's just missing shots.
I think he's just missing. And I think, again, I think he is as good of a shooter as he was last season. But at a certain point, a 42% shooter can't be making 29% of his shots and have us frame him as if he improved. Like it just, which is why, like, if we say he's the same guy, I'm perfectly okay with that. Because by the way, last year, Tyson Walker was a first team All Big Ten player. He was awesome. Like he's one of the best guards in the country. He still is that. I just have a huge like if he starts making threes, by the way, like I said this in the Discord, but if he starts making like 36, 37% of his threes and still stays as good as he is from 2-point range, then we can absolutely say he got better. But you can't go from one of the best shooters in the country to not even making 30% of your shots and tell me this guy improved from a first team All Big Ten play. It's just tough. Same guy, I'm fine with that. The broader thing is like, did anybody else? And do you have, we don't need to go guy by guy because I think we know where we stand. Like the answer is pretty much no, except for Trey Holloman, right? And maybe Carson Cooper slightly. But why do you think this is the case? Do you think there's something institutionally wrong with Michigan State's ability to develop players right now? Or do you think this is just on the players themselves and it's the roster?
Is it a cop out to say both, or do I got to like pick one side?
It's not a cop out.
All right. Well, because I think there's equal blame to go around in this case. I think that player development is a huge part of college basketball, especially guys that are in a program for a certain amount of years. And I think it's always fair to expect a player that has the resources and the time and all the ability to improve their game and do better things, to expect them to improve, and that staff are put in place and guys are paid money to push those guys along and ensure that those guys do that. So it's equal blame to me both ways, but it is alarming the amount of players that have regressed. I think you can go through any college team and it's impossible for every guy to stay the same or improve. You're always going to be able to find one guy who has regressed or not gotten good. That's the nature of college basketball. It's the nature of college athletes. It's alarming to me that there are so many on this team that have regressed and gotten worse in my eyes. So it's like, it is something that's concerning to me in both parties. And that's kind of why I come to the point where I'm like, you know, I want to blame the staff, but at the same time, you know, I don't know. I just kind of expect guys, I guess, to have like the wherewithal or the drive to improve. Especially like after underachieving like your whole career, basically. Like that, like we look to the upperclassmen in this team, in this class. Isn't there a point where you're kind of like, damn, I'm tired of this? Like, is this the way I want to go? And honestly, then maybe they're okay with it. Like, yeah, I got my 4 years. I got to play. I had some good games. We made the tournament. We did that. We got to a Sweet 16. It was great. I had a good time. I never had to wait in line at Fieldhouse. Everything's okay. But like, where's I don't know. Like, maybe it's not regression. Maybe it's complacency. I don't know what word you want to use, but yeah, I think it is. It is a concern.
I would love to know. I don't think AJ Hoggard would have said he views him as an underachiever through 3 years at Michigan State. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but my perception is AJ Hoggard thinks he's achieved a lot.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, there's not a lot of self-awareness of where things are at, given the way he talked in the offseason. But yeah, I had some people like in our mentions this morning tweeting me like, you can't say these guys haven't gotten better. Look what AJ Hoggard did as a freshman and look what he is now. My issue is looking like a guy that's good as a junior should not be significantly worse as a senior. A guy who's good as a sophomore should not be significantly worse as a junior. And that's what has happened to AJ Hoggard and Jay Nakins. And it makes no sense to me at all. And again, maybe it's too many cooks in the kitchen. But I believe both those guys, like at their core, are productive basketball players. And they're giving this team nothing right now. And you're right. It's not just a Michigan State specific thing. I want to be clear on that. I think this roster is unique that like nobody seems to have taken a leap to be ready. Like if Carson Cooper was actually a starting center, that would help this team a ton. Like if Malik Hall was the guy he was in conference play his freshman year pre-injury, that would help this team a ton. If Jaden was who he was last year, it would help this team a ton. Like just collectively, none of them are. And you can point to my program. Like Terrace Reed did not get better at all. If anything, he got worse in a bigger role. So this isn't Michigan State unique, but Michigan does have one guy who did get a lot better, and it hasn't helped the team. They're 4-5. They have a worse record than Michigan State. But
you got 3 guys on your team that have gotten better.
It's one of those things where I would like to see it. And I think you have to go back to Aaron Henry for like a Michigan State recruit who has really done that. Tyson obviously has gotten better, but Tyson was also a good player at Northeastern. Joey Hauser has got better at Michigan State by a lot. He was also a good player at Marquette. So like it's tough. Like Gabe Brown had half a season, I think, where he looked better. You would like to see more guys in this little 4-year window where they've lost a lot of games that are.
I would kill for a Gabe Brown jump out of some of these guys. That's the thing. Yeah. Like I feel fair saying that, okay, maybe Gabe Brown didn't like get astronomically better, but I think that Gabe Brown left a better player than he came in. There's going to be some players that leave Michigan State that are going to be like, as my career arc, I might have had some spikes as a junior year where I got better, but there's also a world where I leave here as I did not leave this place better than I was when I came in.
Yeah, leave it better than you found it. That's always the goal. Tough. But yeah, let me just wrap this by saying, have to make it unequivocally clear. Tyson Walker is not even 1% of the problem for Michigan State. That is not an issue whatsoever. And if I led anyone to believe I think Tyson is part of the problem with this team, I apologize. It was an emotional reaction. It was me being confrontational for no reason. Tyson is not the problem at all. It's everybody around him. And hopefully it works out. All right. Topic number 2 today, quick one here. Dylan Harper is going to commit to Rutgers this afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That's true, right? We don't have to put this out and then look stupid.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're all good. And as a Rutgers fan, this year should not even really matter to you like that, to be honest with you, because next season you're going to have Ace Bailey and you're going to have Dylan Harper. And I think life's going to be great, to be honest with you. I'm willing to like make that jump. That life's going to be great for Rutgers fans.
Now that we've seen who Gavin Griffiths is too, like in the offseason, we talked about like, ooh, what could this team look like? Now that we've seen who he is, how do you feel about next year's Rutgers roster?
I actually feel good because I think that Rutgers players get better year through year.
Okay.
I can point to a lot of players that have come in a Gavis Griffith state. Honestly, I think he's ahead of the curve a little bit because I think he was I actually think there's something there more so. But there's a lot of Rutgers players who have come into that program and left better players.
Got it. Okay. What about Derek Simpson? Does he fall in that category right now?
I'm a little disappointed, but Derek Simpson. But it could also be another case where like he has this regression as a sophomore, motivates him to actually make more of a jump going into next season. But I don't even know if the Derek Simpson jump will matter like that because you're gonna have Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey.
Also, what about Cliff?
I think it's time for I think Cliff and Rutgers just need both as mutual parties just need to kind of move on.
Okay. Do you think like is Simpson on this team next year? We love Derek Simpson. We still believe in him even with a rocky start. Like, is it like a 3 guard lineup next year with Simpson? And I know Bailey's not necessarily like a guard, but is it Bailey, Harper, and Simpson?
I would think so. But I think a lot of that depends on Simpson's development and how Simpson kind of comes back next year. I'm also like a real believer in Derek Simpson, like you just said. I actually think that Derek Simpson gets right this season.
Yeah,
like you get like a stretch of games where you're like, oh, there's the Derek Simpson that we thought we were going to get in the season. I truly believe that's going to happen. So yeah, things are good right now in Piscataway.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch them for sure. It's going to be fun. Let's do some quick superlatives on all of this. Where does Rutgers rank in next year's preseason AP poll?
Preseason AP?
Yep.
19th.
Where does the Rutgers offense rank at the end of next season in Ken Pom offense efficiency?
100.
Ooh, okay. So still not great there. Is that a Pikel thing, or is that just like a lot of freshmen in big roles that might not be super efficient anyway?
A little conglomerate of both.
A little bit of both. Okay.
That's a little melting pot of both.
Over under 10 points a game for Derek Simpson next year.
Over
Under 4th place in the Big Ten finish next season.
Ooh, I'm trying to make sure I'm not leaving out any. Though over, like they'll finish top 4.
Does Rutgers get a win in the NCAA tournament next year?
Yes.
Do they get 2 wins in the NCAA tournament next year?
I'm gonna lean no. I'll say 1 win.
And same question with Ken Pom with the offense, but with the defense. Bunch of freshmen in there now. Gavin Griffiths. How good is the Rutgers defense next year?
I think it's still just as good. I think Ace Bailey's a great defender, and I think Dylan Harper can be a good defender. He can be one.
Okay. Final question. Who's the best player on Rutgers next year?
Dylan Harper.
Second best?
Ace Bailey.
Third best?
Gavin Griffiths.
Okay, I agree with that order for the record. All right, going to be really fun to watch Rutgers. Final topic today. You have alluded to this multiple times in the last 48 hours, and you look smart for doing it right now. You have Illinois in the same tier as Purdue. I want to flesh this out a little more because we've now seen the best of Illinois where they're on a neutral and they just, I thought, wore down Florida Atlantic, who's one of the best teams in the country, one of my favorite teams in the country. And Illinois just withstood all their punches and looked like the better roster. Are we serious when we say Illinois can win the Big Ten this season?
I personally am serious that I think they can win the Big Ten.
So what does that look like?
Well, I think that, okay, let's look at it in a microscope of just Purdue versus Illinois straight up. Like you're taking Illinois' 5 and you're taking Purdue's 5, right?
Yep.
All right, so Edey, Coleman, obviously you're going Edey. Coleman's no slouch though. Let's not get that twisted. Okay. You're going to the 3 spot. Damask or Lance Jones? Damask. Okay. You're going to the 2 spot. Terrence Shannon or Fletcher?
Terrence Shannon.
Okay. You go to the 4th spot. You going TKR or you going Quincy Guerrier?
Neither.
Neither. Okay, I'd go Quincy Guerrier.
I'd go if you're letting me use Luke Goody. Luke Goody.
Okay, then use Luke Goody, either or, because I was going to eventually get to the bench, and we can go player by player on the bench as well. Like, which one are you taking? Yeah. And I get that you can't do this because that's not how basketball works. But what I'm saying is, it's a lot more even than I think people are leading on to be, even as dominant as Edie is in this game. And I think a player like Ty Rodgers could give a player like Braden Smith a little bit of trouble with his physicality and size. Not saying he's going to win anything on the offensive end, but defensively, I think he can make things very tough on Braden. So I just think that this Illinois team they got a lot. They got a lot of guys. They got a lot of guys, and they got a lot of guys that know their role, and they have a first-team All-American in Terrence Shannon Jr. So just like Purdue has a National Player of the Year in Zach Edey, on the other side, you still got a first-team All-American in Illinois. And then you go through like the Big Ten schedule too. Like, I'm going Big Ten team by Big Ten team, and I'm just like, Illinois is beating that team. Illinois is beating that team. Just like Purdue's beating that team. Purdue's beating that team. So it's just, to me, those two teams are the cream of the crop. Those are the contenders. I still give the edge to Purdue, but there is a team that is competing with Purdue, I think, for that banner, and I think it's Illinois.
Okay, I'm fine with saying they're competing for it. Like I think last night I said I would define it as like the champion and the contender. Like I think Illinois is the only team in the conference that is truly contending for the Big Ten title. I also think Illinois has a very good chance of beating Purdue when they play head to head. For all the reasons you just said, they're deeper. I think they have like a hunger to them as a program right now that it bodes really well. I think they're one of the best defenses in the country. And Purdue has issues when they play against physical teams that are elite on defense, and it becomes a half-court game late in games. With that said, like just match up if they're playing each other. I do think Edey is a problem for Illinois because Terrence Shannon, I don't think, can like just get everything he wants downhill at the rim when Zach Edey's on the court. And I think that is so critical to Terrence Shannon being unstoppable, is there's nobody who can stop him. Like you saw it when Vlad Golden was out of the game, it was just a layup line dunk show for Terrence Shannon. When he was in the game, it was a lot tougher. And Edey's just so good at not fouling. Like when's the last time we've seen Edey in foul trouble in a game? Like
it's been a minute.
It's very rare, and I think it's going to keep being rare. And look, these two teams play twice this year. They play in Champaign the very final week of the season, and they're at Mackey in early January. My strong suspicion would be these teams split these two games this year. Why I still have Illinois a step behind Purdue is I think Illinois is more vulnerable against the rest of the conference than Purdue is. And look, Purdue's vulnerable. They just lost to Northwestern. The Illinois is a half game up in the standings right now. But I still think this Illinois team feels like a team that's like 6 to 7 losses in conference, which is great. Like that's a really good team. It might be a 2 or a 3 seed. But Purdue, to me, it's like, they're not losing more than 5 games this year still, right? Like, do we really believe Illinois can play a 20-game schedule and approach that?
Yeah, as good as Illinois is too, like I'm not going to be able to shake the fact that someone's going to go into State Farm in mid-January and pick up a win that they shouldn't.
Right.
Like they're going to drop a game versus like Rutgers at home.
Yeah, which is, there's nothing to be ashamed of with that.
Yeah.
Teams lose games like this, but
right.
All right, flip on this conversation. Everybody's made so much of a conversation about both these programs in March. Can't trust Painter teams in March. Can't trust Underwood teams in March. Which team would you rather be when it's the 3rd week of March and the bracket comes out? I don't care about the draw. Give these teams the same exact draw. Which team do you trust more in a single elimination setting?
Between Illinois and Purdue?
Yeah, because both are going to see ghosts. Like both have not been able to get over the hump.
I trust Illinois.
Why?
I trust Terrence Shannon Jr.
More than anybody on Purdue, including Edey?
Yeah. In a tournament setting, yeah.
I'm
close,
fascinated
though.
by it. I'm just fascinated by it. I think I can buy that argument, but like I guess why? Because like Edey's still the most valuable player in the country.
I also trust the pieces outside of Shannon more than I trust the pieces outside of Edie.
Okay, I can buy that.
Like you look at this once again. I go back to this in the starting lineup. I'm on Purdue. I'm hunting Fletcher. Honestly, I'm hunting Fletcher, and I can't trust Lance Jones to not fire up 40-footers all tournament games. I look at Illinois' team. I trust their role play. Like I trust the mask. I trust Gary A. Like I trust those guys.
Yeah. Okay, I can see
I
that.
don't trust Ty Rodgers, but like I trust Luke Goody.
I was gonna say I do trust Ty too, which is a testament to Ty. Like I think he is taking care of the ball as good as he can. He's a very impact defender. He's always in the right spot. Honestly, when I was watching the Florida Atlanta game, I almost texted you this, but I didn't want to kick you too much when you're down. Ty would be so critical to Michigan State right now. Just having a dude who like you don't question effort wise at all. Like
I would love to have Ty as my starting point guard over WAP.
Or not even point guard. Like you could put him at the 4, and I know it doesn't fix the shooting at all, but you just have a dude who's like busting his ass. Like
Yeah, true.
it would really matter. Okay, last little exercise with this. Every player on both Purdue and Illinois is available for the picking. You're building a roster. Give me a starting 5 and a 6th man from those two teams.
Every player. Okay. I'll go Braden. I'm gonna go Braden, Terrence Shannon Jr., Goody, Damask, Edie.
6th man?
6th man. Ooh. 6th man Coleman?
That's my team too. I'm glad you just nailed my exact group of this because
and I love that team.
I love that team, and I think it speaks to why there's an argument for Illinois over Purdue.
And just add a little bit more spice to this. I don't think you would pick this same, but Paint's my coach of that team.
Oh, I would pick Paint. I thought you were going to say I love Brad Underwood. He owns me. Okay. Like I can't, let me make that so clear. Matt Painter doesn't own me, but Matt Painter is a better X's and O's coach than Brad Underwood. So I'll stick with that right now. Okay. All right. Fun exercise. I'm so jealous of both these teams. Congrats, both those programs. What's your one big thing presented by Bigby today, Cart?
Let's see. My one big thing. My one big thing is that I know I'm dramatic. It's part of who I am. I think it's part of what makes me Cart. I wouldn't be Cart if I wasn't dramatic. So like just let me sometimes be dramatic. And also realize that within my dramatics is some truth around it. I just might put a little bit more pizzazz on it. That's my one big thing.
You are a big pizzazz guy. There's nobody with more pizzazz than you. I like it. My one big thing is that I think my program is getting off way too easy, and I get it. They're getting off way too easy because they're irrelevant. That's a dagger into my soul as well. Like we have to sit here just harping for hours and multiple videos on Michigan State. The Discord's popping off about Michigan State. Like we even like UConn and UNC, like we're shitting on UNC more than we are Michigan. My program's getting off easy. This program's down bad. It's an unrecognizable program from where it was just 5 years ago. It's all Juwan Howard's fault. He can't build rosters. He can't even coach. He's not even there to coach right now. He's just along for the ride, like the little fool that he's made his entire fan base into. I'm devastated. I think Doug's probably not with the program next year, and that breaks my heart. Terrace Reed has not gotten an ounce better. Will Cheddar might be our 3rd best player, and he should be on a cattle ranch right now. I'm devastated, and I don't want people to forget how bad this Michigan team is right now. Don't let them off the hook. Don't let me off the hook. They stink.
Well, the thing is, this is what Michigan fans are doing. And they have the luxury of doing that. They got a football team who's the number 1 team in the country and hasn't lost. So if I was sucking in basketball, that's who I would lean on. Unfortunately, as a Michigan State fan, I had to put behind the fact that my coach was extremely horny and only won 3 games this season. And I was looking forward to being able to lean on basketball season. Unfortunately, I'm not. So it's a tough spot to be in.
Hard, I wish my coach was horny. It's time to get that man out. I need an excuse, okay? Like, look, at the end of the day, are we devastated? Is it horrible what happened with Mel Tucker? Hell yeah. You know what else happened? You dodged a bullet, my friend. If I could get Juwan Howard out of here right now, let it happen. Just don't let anybody get hurt in the process. But good God, I stink. That's the show today, everybody. Have a great day. Bear with us while we're really antagonistic towards each other. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with smiles on our faces.